Innervision, taking you to a new level of Christian radio. www.innervisionrecords.org, the official website of Innervision.
Send us feedback, requests.
Help spread the word about local musicians. We are Inner FM.
Talking to Greg Goodloe, and he's a musician, teacher. So I'd like to welcome you to the show, Greg.
Hey, Johnny.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Now I've been, I'm not sure because I've been dealing with this reverb thing and people getting ranked and all that kind of stuff, and so I'm hearing and seeing that you're ranked number one.
Reverb Nation. It's www.reverbnation.com. It's an independent site where independent musicians can get on there and have their music played and also have it rated. And it's nationwide. It's also worldwide. You'll get 3 different ratings. You'll get a rating for wherever state that you're in, and then you'll get a national rating, which is all over the United States. And then you will have a global rating, which is all over the world. So right now in the state rating, I'm number 1 in the jazz.
Okay. And so how many songs did you put up there for people to check out and pretty much rate?
Actually, I put my whole CD, my current CD, It's All Good. I put that on there, and they rated from how many listeners and how many downloads or streams, and just how busy that your particular site is, and how much that you're able to network that particular site. It's basically done by, I guess, a lot of computer footwork, I would call it. And it's also a site where you have national recording artists. It's not only for independent. You have national recording artists on there, such as Norman Brown's on there. You had George Duke, who was also on there, and a few other jazz or smooth jazz artists who decided to go that route to get a different rating and a different fan base.
You play quite a bit in different bands, and how does that work? Because I know you're a very busy guy.
Yeah, lately I've been kind of busy. Busy is good. They always tell me that whenever you're working towards a dream or a particular goal, and if you're busy at working towards that goal or that dream, it's good. Right now, I'm currently a music teacher. I teach guitar. I'm also a producer. I'm currently working on my 3rd CD. I'm also a music writer. I'm a publisher, music writer with ASCAP. And I'm also a publisher with ASCAP, published music. I'm also playing in bands. I have my own band called Gregory Goodloe. We play smooth jazz in the style of, I would say, George Benson, that kind of style, Norman Brown, but I kind of got my own style because I play some blues and I do some reggae. I play also in the church. I'm a gospel guitarist on Sundays. I play it on Now Faith Church. Now, I also sub and play R&B. It gives me a chance to work on my rhythm funk guitar. I play in a group called Chasing the Dream. I'm currently their guitarist right now.
And so is it like word of mouth? These guys hear about you, or do you approach them, or do they approach you to?
Usually, in this particular venue, the way that I've been working, they come and approach me because they're looking for a certain caliber of musician to be able to handle the workload that they have. Like, for instance, Chasing a Dream, he has like 100 songs on a song list. and then he may call any of those songs at any time. So you have to have the capacity to learn the material and also recall it without playing it on sheet music. So it depends on what kind of caliber, and also in that particular band I sing backup. So I have to be able to sing and also little choreography because we do a little dancing. So in that group I'm actually able to do my alter ego where I sing and dance like the old school R&B groups.
Now,
and also right now I also do things for national recording artists. I was a music director for Surface, the national recording group. I was also music director for Howard Hewitt when he came here last year. I was also music director for Asia when she came here also.
now
So being under the hat of a music director, my job is to know their material, know the artist's material through and through, and then teach it to a bunch of other capable musicians, and then have the artist perform and play it.
so when you were going to school and studying for this, I mean, could you envision that someday you'll be writing out these charts and doing all that kind of stuff? And how did you decide to get yourself in that position where you, instead of just playing by ear, because I think what I'm hearing is you can write the music, you can also direct the people and the flavor of how to play the music.
Right, and everybody has a different style. It's how you would really interpret the style of the music that's being played. Because I've heard I heard different musicians take a song that's already written and they may play it. One musician might play it one way and another musician might play it another way. It depends how they interpret what the artist done or did to their music, and then how they can make it change to either sound better or exactly like the music. That's what I used to do. Now, when I was growing up playing, I started off playing by ear. So it also is the desire of the musician. What does he want to accomplish? There's only so much that you can accomplish by playing by ear, because at some point, you're going to have to be able to communicate with other musicians. And other musicians, not all musicians play by ear. A lot of musicians write music and they read music. So if you don't know how to communicate that language to them, sometimes it becomes a void or difficult. But it can be done, because there's, lots of musicians that have made it and have become very famous and haven't known how to read one note of music. So, but for me, in order for me to communicate with a broader perspective of musicians, I started to learn how to read. But at first, I played by ear, and then I had a desire to continue in music, so I learned how to read in junior high school under the guidance of Willie Hill at Hill Junior High School. And then I went to George Washington for 1 year, and then I went to Thomas Jefferson and played under Jack Bailey, under the guidance of Mr. Jack Bailey. He was my music teacher, who also sent me to the Career Center where I worked with Mr. Neil Bridge, who was honored last year at the 5 Points Jazz Festival with the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is well deserved, and it was well recommended for him, and he's an excellent teacher. And I eventually ended up getting a music scholarship and going to Bishop College, playing under the directorship of Larry Bird.
Oh, Larry Bird, okay.
T. Bird Gordon, that's what his nickname. So his name is Larry Gordon. And also the musician for Surface, Mr. Pick Conley, he went to the same college. And also Patrice Rushen, she was also a graduate from that same college.
Now, it sounds like you're in the inner circle, because when people come to town, they have people that they choose from to help them complete their project when they get to town. How does that work for you? I mean, now that was there a time where you were looking on the outside and you were seeing these people come in and you say, "Oh man, I like to work with them," but you weren't in that circle? So how did you get to that level?
Well, really, I appreciate you saying I'm in the inner circle. I guess it's a great thing to be considered in the inner circle. I continue to try to network myself and make myself available for the next coming artists. There's so many capable musicians that are in the state of Colorado that they have a great pool of musicians to draw from. So I just happen to be one of the people that they are able to go to whenever they need help, or they want to be able to put on a for sure show and have the capable musicians to back them up. Because what makes a lot of national artists nervous is when they go to a different state and they have to have a whole different group, and then they don't know if those musicians could really play. And the artist is what we used to call them, they're a brand. So you don't want their brand, they don't want their brand to sound bad, or they don't want their brand diminished. So they look for the best at what can make them sound better when they're presenting their brand in front of another group of people that haven't maybe never heard them. Or for those who have heard them, to make them sound exactly like the album or CD that they put out.
Now, tell me this. I just got to reading the book about the Eagles and Glenn Fry and the other guy. I mean, they were pretty much into, like, they didn't want the musicians in the background to do anything but play the music. They just say, play the music, stand there, and don't do anything but play that music. And Joe Walsh would have these expressions on his face that just made him, stick out, because he used to be a front man. How do you back a group, and do they ask for you guys to be animated, or is it pretty much just play my music and get that flavor down?
Well, I was blessed to at one time be with the music director. I was co-music director with the Coasters and Platters when they came here. Now, the Coasters and Platters, they're an older group before my time. So, like, what I had to do is I had to go and study their music at that time. And I played the music exactly like the guitarist did at that time. And so what they loved about me is because I played exactly like what they wanted. Now, that makes a difference between musicians, because some musicians are great musicians, but you have to be disciplined to just play. If you know how to play 5 or 6 chords and they want just one chord, you have to be disciplined to play just that one chord. You can't go off and play 5 or 6 chords because they only want to hear one chord. Mm-hmm. And some musicians have a hard time with doing that. They want to play all that they know instead of playing all that's required of them. And that's the discipline. Because Andre Duchesne, he's a bass player, and Andre, how you doing if you hear this? He's out of California. He was the bassist for Shaka Khan on her road tour, and he's also the bassist for Prince. At one time, he was playing with Prince, but he was playing not what Prince wanted, because this guy's a phenomenal bassist, and he was not playing the basics of what Prince wanted, and so Prince had to let him go. But Prince is a nice guy. He gave him another chance later on down the road, but it taught him and anybody else that knew his position that you got to play exactly what the national artist wants you to play. Now, when you're playing, and he says, hey, like when I play with Howard Hewitt, last year. He wanted me to play exactly like the music, and then he just all of a sudden called me up for a guitar solo. I was ready to do that, only when he called me up there. So you got to be ready to be on call, to be able to do your thing. He let me express my thing, but first he wanted to be assured that I could play his thing or his music the way that he wants it done. So I would tell musicians, even though how great they are, when you're getting around these national people, you got to play the music exactly how it is and how they want it. You can't embellish it. You can't add a couple of extra notes or a couple of extra things because they're not going to want it. And when they don't want it, they're not going to want you. And you only get one chance to make an impression on some of these guys.
Now, for the people that are just joining us, we're talking to Greg Goodloe, number one on the jazz contemporary charts of Reverb, and accomplished musician here in Colorado. Worked with a lot of people, so this is who you're listening to, and hopefully you're getting some insight on being a musician that people want you to play with them and play on their CDs, because there's studio musicians and they're live musicians, and there's musicians that help to arrange things. And Greg is very accomplished in many areas, and he's made himself very flexible to work with many different types of artists. Yeah. What I wanted to cover also, I just got to watching this movie with James Brown. And
great movie.
I kept hearing the same thing. I hear this every time I listen to movies about musicians. Is taxes, and in this case, he wasn't paying his musicians on time. And I think it was after his manager died. His manager probably was taking care of that stuff. Because
like James Brown, I never got to meet him, but I did go to his show when he was here in Colorado when I was a kid. Phenomenal musician. But from reading and studying about James Brown, he had a particular method that he paid his musicians. They were basically on a salary. Once they had agreed, that's the thing with musicians. When you agree to a certain amount of pay or a salary, that's usually what you get. And a lot of things, they didn't know that James Brown was going to blow up as big as he did, and so they were getting the same salary that they had signed up for. And then one thing about James Brown is he had a lot of rehearsals, and he had a lot of added music that he added. And if you would not learn his material, he would dock you. And if you wasn't coming to rehearsal or you was late for rehearsal, he was docking you. So which made your paycheck that you agreed to kind of dwindle and diminish. So that's one thing about James Brown and him being the hardest working, musician in show business. Now, the music aspect, the business aspect of the music, that's a whole new ball game. That is a whole dragon in itself. I've been blessed to also have went to business. I majored in music and minored in business. And the business aspect, whenever a musician is creating music, he always wants to needs to have his music copywritten, have your music protected. You never know if your music is going to sound good to someone else. It may sound good to you all day, and it may not sound good to some other people, but it may sound good to someone else. If you don't have your music protected, it's not going to no longer be your music. It's going to belong to someone else. And in fact, if you do, just like I think it was Robin Thicke, he just did a song with Pharrell, and it was Marvin Gaye's music. But Marvin Gaye's family and the state had the music copyright, and they were able to prove that he reduplicated it. He reduplicated the music, and they lost in court. Robin Thicke got sued. So my greatest thing is to have your music protected, and also to join either BMI or ASCAP. ASCAP is more for the performing musician who's on stage a lot and who's also on radio and TV. BMI is more for just the basic songwriters. But either way is good. ASCAP is a little harder to get into because you actually have to be on TV or radio to get approved.
You have been listening to an interview with Greg Goodloe. This interview was recorded a little ways back there, but this is right before he was #1 on the Billboard charts. His song is now being playing on Sirius FM, and he's doing a lot of just wild accomplishments. And we wanted to play his song Stylin. So we'll be right back after this on Innervision FM. And that was Greg Goodloe's latest hit and his first hit in 2019, Stylin, here on Innervision FM. Now let's get into this interview that was recorded a while back here on Innervision FM with Johnnie J. Tell me about this, because I deal with musicians that they think they really made it when they're getting paid under the table.
I have two different views for that. Because I'm an owner and publisher of my own independent record label, which is Hip Jazz Records. I'm also on LinkedIn. My music company is a company under the state of Colorado. It's a business. It's a corporation. It's important to have a product and to have it licensed under the United States and under the seal of the state of Colorado, if you're in Colorado or whatever state that you're in, so that your company is licensed and a qualified business. In that respect, there's certain business practices that you have to have when you're dealing with money and when you're dealing with taxes. As for a musician, I hate to say this, I'll put them in the same category, because you have, I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. You have people who work at strip clubs. They may have a legitimate job as a worker at the club, and which they do their taxes and they pay their taxes, but at the same time, they get tips and they get money that's under the table. Sometimes that happens to musicians, depending on what the capacity of the music is and what the capacity of play is. So that's kind of a really sketchy road right there. I really try not to get too involved in that. I try to have all my ducks in a row. So you're going to have some musicians that do get paid under the table, and some musicians they play pro bono. They play for nothing. And they may play for corporations or fundraisers just for nothing. Or they may play for nonprofits for nothing. So it's a little slippery slope, you know, right there. I don't know. That's about all.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just interesting, and I like I said, I'm dealing with some musicians, and they're at the level where they can easily, make a living out of doing what they are doing, but they just choose to do cash and just fly under the radar. And I said, that may work for a while, but sometimes they get these corporate gigs, and they're acting as if they're the same entity. And I'm saying, no. If they cut you a check, somebody's reporting that.
Yeah.
That's
very important. If you're a musician or you're, to have you as a company or to have you as a product where you're licensed with the state of Colorado, so that when those corporations do pay you and they report, you can report. Also, if I'm a member of the Denver Musicians Union. If you come through the Denver Musicians Union and you're working corporate, the Denver Musicians Union usually handles the contract. And so they handle the taxes to make sure that everybody is taxed and the taxes go where they're supposed to go and the payment of musicians go where it's supposed to go. So there's several ways that you can approach that. You can join the Denver Musicians Union, or you can license your business or your company under the state of Colorado, so that when you have those corporate parties or sponsorships, that all your business ducks are in a row.
Yeah. So that just a FYI to the musicians out there that, get with an organization that can help you out so you can know the business. I know that you just want to play your music, sing your song, and not deal with that stuff, but it all comes into play. Somewhere down the line it's going to come into play, and you want to be on the good side of that. when it does come down.
Oh, yeah. I wanted to address the last part of the question that we were talking about.
About the taxes and being...
taxes and all that. Sure. I also want to note that the good and bad also, I want to give a shout out to the R&B artists or rap artists who have also been entrepreneurs that didn't know much of the music business, but they learned how to make a fortune by hustling on the street. And sometimes that hustle is what some people only know to get paid under the table. I guess that's what a lot of some musicians are doing, and they made their living like that. I mean, you had Master P, who made his living like that, and you had Jay-Z, who made his living like that, and you had Run DMC, who made their music like that. You had a lot of these who are now famous people get their start like that until they learn how to handle the music business. And people like Russell Simmons, once he learned how to handle the music business, he took it to another level. Now he has his own credit card, the Rush card.
All right.
So there's good and bad about it, but if a person is not, they don't have all their ducks in a row, hopefully they'll learn. But it's not going to stop them from becoming the entrepreneur that they are inside their heart. Because
you're giving us so much gold. I know that people are going to hear like this in two parts, and we're going to play it again in the future as well.
Okay.
But I wanted to.
Yeah, that'd be great because I'd love to talk to you about the on the next segment that we do, and the importance of the community toward performing artists, and and itself the different venues that help run Colorado, that also keep the musicians visual out to the public, and also ways to help build your fan base by playing these different venues. And I'd love to talk to you about that on the next segment.
Thank you, Greg Goodloe, for coming down and interviewing with us over the phone here, and maybe one day we can have you in studio as well. I want to remind each of you out there listening to subscribe to our YouTube, like us on our Facebook, that's InnervisionRecords.org. Follow us on Twitter, that's InnervisionReco, and watch us on Wednesday nights on Channel 56 Comcast, Denver Comcast 56 at 8 p.m. and catch our top 20 countdown as well. And if you want to be a part of that, just give us a call at 720-324-7278 or email us at info@InnervisionFM. That's info@InnervisionFM.com or Innervision FM. This is Johnnie J